Hey everybody, this is Rex Bear League Project. Hope you're doing really good wherever you are. I am going to read to you excerpts from the Book of Enoch that describe what, in my opinion, are extraterrestrials, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, some people are going to say, no, they're angels, and hey, they might be one and of the same. Also, it describes the Nephilim and how big they actually are, the Watchers, the trials and tribulations that the Watchers have gone through in the Nephilim, and the destruction of various bloodlines. Not only that, I'm going to read to you a book out of the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's been reconstructed, essentially. It's not all there, from multiple texts and scribes, and it's called the Book of Giants. And this gets pretty twisted in the Book of Giants when it starts talking about genetic manipulation and intercourse with animals. Yeah, it's pretty far out there. One of the things, though, that I find fascinating about the Nephilim is when you read the description of how large the Nephilim are, it says in one passage, in one translation of the Enochian, of the Book of Enoch, that the Nephilim, which are born from women and angels or watchers, fallen angels, are 3,000 L. Now, an L is about 18 inches. Some people use an L in modern measurements as 45 inches. But for most of the research that I've done, it's approximately 18 inches in that time period. So you take 3,000 times that by 18 inches, foot and a half, you've got 4,500 foot raging giant human-looking beast acting like beasts. 4,500 feet. Now think about that. That's almost a mile. I mean, they don't even have buildings that tall. Can you imagine creatures running around that big? I certainly can't. Now, if you put a different interpretation towards the 3,000 L, maybe that was metaphoric for some type of spaceship technology or something, that might make a little bit more sense. But then you got to twist everything around just to fit those parameters, and I'm not buying that. Most likely, that translation of 300L was a mistranslation. And actually, I've been going through some documents, and a later version, a later translation of the Book of Enoch came to the conclusion that it was 300L, not 3,000L. Now, even then, 300L, conservatively, is 450 feet. Can you imagine 450-foot skeletons? Uncovering a 450-foot skeleton? I haven't seen any skeletons that are 450 feet in length. Have you? Even on the internet, I mean, there's tons of images of what really looks like these huge skeletons. And the ones that I've seen, even the biggest, aren't anywhere near 450 feet. Now, that doesn't mean they don't exist. Doesn't mean they didn't exist. My question is, how big were they when they were born? I mean, come on, ladies. Any of you out there had a 10 or 12 pound baby? I mean, that's huge. That's a big baby. I can't even imagine how big these Nephilim babies were when they came out of the womb. So that's just something to think about. However, with that said, there is so many texts of antiquity that talk about what many would say is a different race. And you can call them angels, fallen angels, demons, ancient astronauts, a breakaway civilization. They're definitely there. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you first the Book of Giants, because this is pretty twisted stuff. And once again, I can see why they would leave this out of the Bible if they're trying to fit certain parameters. So the Book of Giants, if you want to read it without purchasing the hard copy or the soft or the paperback at like Barnes & Noble or Amazon or something similar to that, you can actually go to gnosis.org, and in their library, they've got a great library there of books of antiquity that you can read up on. This one's called the Book of Giants, and this is the reconstructed text. They knew the secrets of sin was great in the earth, and they killed many. They begot giants. Everything that the earth produced, the great fish, the sky with all that grew, fruit of the earth, and all kinds of grain, and all the trees, beasts and reptiles, creeping things of the earth, and they observed all, every harsh deed and utterance, male and female, among humans. 200 donkeys, 200 asses, 200 rams of the flock, 200 goats, 200 beasts of the field, from every animal, from every bird, for miscegenation. Miscegenation, you guys. You know what that is, right? You should. They defiled, they begot giants and monsters. They begot, and behold, all the earth was corrupted with its blood, and by the hand of giants, which did not suffice for them. And they were seeking to devour many. The monsters attacked it. Flesh, all monsters will be, they would arise lacking in true knowledge, because the earth grew corrupt. Mighty, they were considering from the angels upon, in the end it will perish and die. They caused great corruption in the earth. This did not suffice to they will be. Now remember, you guys, there's a lot of bits and pieces that aren't in these reconstructed texts. So if you go through and read this, you're going to be able to see the pauses and the blank areas where they weren't able to compile all of the text to go with the sentences here. They drenched the tablet in the water. The waters went up over the tablet. They lifted out the tablet from the water of. This vision is for cursing and sorrow. I am the one who confessed, the whole group of the castaways, and I shall go too. The spirits of the slain, complaining about their killers and crying out that we shall die together and be made an end of. Much, and I will be sleeping and bread for my dwelling. The vision and also entered into the gathering of the giants. Oihia, and he said to Maweh, without trembling, who showed you all this vision, my brother? Barachel, my father, was with me. Before Maweh had finished telling what he had seen, said to him, now I have heard wonders. If a barren woman gives birth. Thereupon Oya said to Hahiah, to be destroyed from upon the earth, and the earth when they wept before the giants. Your strength. Thereupon Oya said to Hahiah, then he answered, it is not for us, but for Azael, for he did the children of angels, and are the giants, and they would not let all their and they would not let all their poved ones be neglected. We have not been cast down. You have strength. I am a giant, and by the mighty strength of my arm, and my own great strength, and one mortal, and I have made war against them. But I am not able to stand against them, for my opponents reside in heaven, and they dwell in the holy places, and not they are stronger than I. Of the wild beast has come, and the wild man they call me. Then Oya said to him, I have been forced to have a dream. The sleep of my eyes vanished, to let me see a vision. Now I know that on Gilgamesh, 3 of its roots, while I was watching thee, came. They moved the roots into this garden, all of them, and not. Concerns the death of our souls and all his comrades. And Oya told them what Gilgamesh said to him. And it was said concerning the leader, has cursed the potentates, and the giants were glad at his words. Then he turned and left. Thereupon 2 of them had dreams, and the sleep of their eye fled from them. And they arose and came to, and told their dreams, and said in the assembly of their comrades, the monsters, in my dream, I was watching this very night, and there was a garden, gardeners, and they were watering 200 trees, and large shoots came out of their root. All the water and the fire burned. All the garden they found the giants to tell them the dream. To Enoch, the noted scribe, and he will interpret for us 12 the dream. Thereupon his fellow Oya declared and said to the giants, Two had a dream this night. O giants, and behold, the ruler of heaven came down to earth, and such is the end of the dream. Thereupon all the giants and monsters grew afraid, and called Maweh. He came to them, and the giants pleaded with him, and sent him to Enoch, the noted scribe. They said to him, Go to you that you have heard this voice. And he said to him, He will, and interpret the dreams. How long the giants have to live. He mounted up in the air like strong winds, and flew with his hands like eagles. He left behind the inhabited world and passed over desolation, the great desert. And Enoch saw him and held him. And Maweh said to him, Hither and thither a second time to Maweh. The giants awag your words, and all the monsters of the earth, if has been carried from the days of there, and they will be added. We would know from you their meaning. 200 trees from heaven came down. The scribe Enoch, a copy of the second tablet, the epoch sent, in the very handwriting of Enoch, the noted scribe, in the name of God, the great and holy one, to Shemaiah and all his companions, let it be known to you that not, and the things you have done, and that your wives, they and their sons, and their wives of their sons, by your licentiousness, sorry if I said that word wrong, I've never seen that word before, on the earth, and there has been upon you, and the land is crying out and complaining about you, and the deeds of your children, the harm that you have done to it, until Raphael arrives. Behold, destruction is coming, a great flood, and it will destroy all living things, and whatever is in the deserts and the seas, and the meaning of the matter upon you for evil. But now loosen the bonds binding you to evil, and pray. Great fear seized me, and I fell on my face. I heard his voice. He dwelt among human beings, but he did not learn from them. That's the end of the book of Giants. And there's a lot of stuff that isn't in there. So when I was reading it, once again, if you go and read that text, you're going to see that there's a lot of words that were left out, and who knows what they actually are. We can speculate and do our best to put it together. One thing that I do find fascinating about the book of Giants, Enoch, the angels that are described, and also the I think not only genetic manipulation, but also some weird sexual stuff was going on there. That was pre-flood. That scribe was pre-flood. And it was almost like a warning to those guys. They had a dream that the flood was coming, and it freaked them out. They saw their lives end. And that's why they called out and asked for help, asked for forgiveness. And when you read the book of Enoch, it's very similar. It talks about how the Watchers wanted to have sex with women, and they made a pact with each other, and then God got really upset, so they asked God to forgive them. God said, no, I've cast my judgment upon you, your wives, your family, your children, and he's very upset. I look at this more as almost like a galactic council. You know, right now you've got the UN here on planet Earth, which somewhat does a fair job of, on some things, at least the portrayed view that they're supposed to kind of help create balance. Now, that's a whole can of worms, and I could get into multiple podcasts about the UN, if they're really good or evil. And that's not what this podcast or that point is about. My point is, you've got these organizations that first it's statewide, or not even statewide. You've got tribes. Then you get to a more established government. Then you've got countries, you've got states, you've got cities, you've got counties. Well, you've also got somewhat of a galactic government, not a galactic government, somewhat of a global government, I should say, with the UN, kind of. And that's all I meant by that. So if you've got these civilizations that have been around on planets able to evolve and learn and create without having a cyclical cataclysm that many people have recorded here at home for thousands of years, whether you were the whether you were Asian, whether you were Middle Eastern, whatever part of the planet you're from, thousands of years ago, there are writings and drawings of cataclysms. So what if there's civilizations out there that don't have those types of cataclysms, and they could just continue to grow and continue to learn, and maybe they live in a society that isn't based on fossil fuels and sucking the blood of the planet to survive? Well, if that's the case, and if they found Earth, and if they weren't supposed to meddle with the Earth people, and they finally said, hey man, those women are beautiful, let's go get it on with them. Well, that's what I see this more as literally somebody from Earth seeing what's going on, seeing these beings coming down from a different planet, completely different civilization, different technologies, different abilities, different mindset. To them, a sin could be something completely different to an earthling that is born and raised without the effects of other planets, other governments, other factions, other politics. I mean, really, I've talked about this before. What is sin? Well, to me, sin is hurting somebody. To me, sin, I can pick up on what a sin is based upon my conscience. If I think I'm doing something wrong, I'm probably doing something wrong. Now, that to me is what sin is. You can be your own judge. Now, there's people out there that don't have a conscience. So karma will find a way to balance things out. Now, let me read to you. I'm going to read to you parts of the book of Enoch, and I want to get your take on this, and I'm sure you're going to leave it in the comments section. Here we go. The book of Enoch. The words of the blessing of Enoch were with, he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is for to come. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, or Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. So let's stop for a minute. The heaven of heavens. That to me sounds like something beyond space, because usually when the heavens are referred to in these texts of antiquity, they're talking about outer space. So something above the heavens. Okay, let's go back. And all shall be smitten, and fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. Okay, literally, melting like wax before the flame. Mountains melting like wax. What type of technology could cause that? And the earth shall be wholly rent in surrender, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace. So what is righteous? And will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them. And they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. And he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, how they all rise and set in order each set in order each in its season. I don't know why that was so difficult to say. And transgress not against their appointed order. Behold ye the earth, and give heed to these things which take place upon it from first to last. How steadfast they are, how none of these things upon earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. behold, the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. Okay, so chapter 2, he's talking about the orbits of the planets in heaven, in space, the luminaries, the stars of space, the seasons. That's my opinion, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about there. Now I'm going to skip through some of this. Okay, chapter 6. This is where it gets very interesting. Let me get a little drink of kombucha here. I have a drinking problem. I drink like two or more kombuchas a day. These things are great. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. And it came to pass when the children of men, this is chapter 6, and it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. Thank goodness not homely. Hello. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared of the summit of Mount Hermon. Lost my train of thought here. Okay. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Samlazaz, their leader; Arikabah, Ramil, Kokoblel, Tamlel, Ramlel, Danel, Ezekiel, Berekajal, Azael, Armaros, Badaril, Ananel, Zachiel, Samsapil, Santarel, Turel, Jomjael, Sarael. Those are their chiefs of tens. And how off was I on probably all of those names? I don't know. And all the others together with them took unto them wives, and each chose for themselves, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. Oh man, now that's a sin. How dare you teach people how to be acquainted with plants, you guys? Man. I mean, see what I mean? You've got these race of beings, whether they were humans and just, like a very intelligent country or nation or state or whatever, or off planet, or maybe they are angels from this place in the heaven. I don't even know how to describe it. What is heaven? What is heaven, you guys? Heaven to me is the stars. It's outer space. And most of the time when heaven is described in these books, that's what it's referring to. But a lot of times people have this completely different interpretation of heaven. Now, maybe the heaven above the heavens, like what's talked about in the first chapter, there could be something to that. And I get it. I definitely feel there's something outside of this universe as well. I just don't buy the official story of God. I don't buy the official story of religion and what the Bible pushes down people's throats. Even these books that have been left out of the Bible, which have a lot of good information in it, we have to remember this stuff has been written down by somebody that was seeing something that was way ahead of his time, and he's doing his best to describe it. mean, that would be like you or myself seeing some technologies that are hundreds of thousands of years beyond what they are currently, and somebody comes down and shows it to us and says, hey, I'm God from heaven X, and you need to worship me, because if you don't, you're going to go to hell. And it's a sin to think that other person's attractive. It's a sin to want to have something that your neighbor has. You can't do that. And don't kill anybody unless I say so. I mean, it's just weird. But anyway, I'm digressing again. Okay. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, each for themselves. They began to go into them, defile themselves with them. They taught them charms, enchantments, cutting of roots, made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant. They bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. 3,000 ells. Well, I am so sorry for the women that gave birth to those giants. 3,000 ells, that's 4,500 feet tall. 4,500 feet tall. Now, as I said, there was a different translation on the book of Enoch, and the other translation says it's 300 ells. That's still 450 feet tall. I mean, that's not much shorter than the Space Needle. Imagine a bunch of Space Needles walking around going, let's eat these little humans, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, little human. This little human being right here. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said to one another, the earth made without inhabitant cries, the voice of their cryings up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men, make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of thy God standeth into all the generations of the ages. Thy name holy and glorious and blessed into all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou. And all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel has done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Semjaza, to whom thou hast given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now behold, the souls of those who have died in crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven. And their lamentations have ascended, and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought to the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass, and thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them, and thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. Okay, now it gets into the Most High telling Noah, well, here we go, listen to this. This is talking about the warning to Noah. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One, spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, go to Noah, and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, cast him into the darkness, make an opening in the desert, which is Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there, and forever and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, that all children of men may not perish, through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. The whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin, and to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from amongst men, and cause them to go forth, send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have, and no request that they, their fathers, make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf. For they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, go bind Samjaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanliness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment, and their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be let off in the abyss of fire, and the torment and the prison, in which shall be confined forever, and whoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth, and joy forevermore. Well, there's a lot more, but I just wanted to go over that with you guys because, first of all, that does give you specific instructions that were told to Noah, who sent them to him, gives you a description of the watchers, of the Nephilim. What I'd like to know, though, is if you guys feel that this is a lot more political than actually spiritual. Because to me, a sin is, according to these texts, having sex with women. I mean, I don't know. I'm really trying to grasp all this, and the more research I do, the more I feel these texts of antiquity are really more about politics and control and interpretations than actual fact. What is your interpretation of this? I would love to know. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to go to leakproject.com. We have exclusive content on leakproject.com that is only available for premium members. It's $50 for the whole year. You get access to about 700 podcasts, fully downloadable, and your contributions greatly help Leak Project. Or you can just listen to the podcast for free on YouTube. And thanks for everything. Have a beautiful day. Be the change you want to see. And it's called the Book of Giants. And this gets pretty twisted in the Book of Giants when it starts talking about genetic manipulation and intercourse with animals. Yeah, it's pretty far out there. One of the things, though, that I find fascinating about the Nephilim is when you read the description of how large the Nephilim are, it says in one passage, in one translation of the Enochian, of the Book of Enoch, that the Nephilim, which are born from women and angels or watchers, fallen angels, are 3,000 El. Hey everybody, this is Rex Bear League Project. Hope you're doing really good wherever you are. I am going to read to you excerpts from the Book of Enoch that describe what, in my opinion, are extraterrestrials, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, some people are going to say, no, they're angels, and hey, they might be one and of the same. Also, it describes the Nephilim and how big they actually are. the Watchers, the trials and tribulations that the Watchers have gone through in the Nephilim, and the destruction of various bloodlines. Not only that, I'm going to read to you a book out of the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's been reconstructed. Essentially, it's not all there from multiple texts and scribes. Conservatively, is 450 feet. Can you imagine 450-foot skeletons? Uncovering a 450-foot skeleton? I haven't seen any skeletons that are 450 feet in length. Have you? Even on the internet, I mean, there's tons of images of what really looks like these huge skeletons. And the ones that I've seen, even the biggest, aren't anywhere near 450 feet. Now, that doesn't mean they don't exist. Doesn't mean they didn't exist. My question is, how big were they when they were born? I mean, come on, ladies. Now, an L is about 18 inches. Some people use an L in modern measurements as 45 inches. But for most of the research that I've done, it's approximately 18 inches in that time period. So you take 3,000 times that by 18 inches, foot and a half, you've got 4,500 foot raging giant human-looking beast acting like beasts. 4,500 feet. Now think about that. That's almost a mile. I mean, they don't even have buildings that tall. Can you imagine creatures running around that big? I certainly can't. Now, if you put a different interpretation towards the 3,000 L, maybe that was metaphoric for some type of spaceship technology or something, that might make a little bit more sense. But then you got to twist everything around just to fit those parameters, and I'm not buying that. Most likely, that translation of 300L was a mistranslation. And actually, I've been going through some documents, and a later version, a later translation of the Book of Enoch came to the conclusion that it was 300L, not 3000L. Now, even then, 300L